All right, so joining us now is the Democratic nominee for mayor of Buffalo, New York, India Walton. Great to see you, India. Welcome.
Good to see you, India.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Great to see you as well.
Of course.
Absolutely.
So I gave people a little bit of a preview. You won the nomination. You defeated the incumbent Democratic mayor, Byron Brown. He has not given up. First, he sort of tried to do a kind of bogus third-party thing and get himself back on the ballot. That got tossed down by the courts. Now he's running a write-in campaign. Just bring us up to speed about where the campaign stands today.
Sure. So we've always run a very vigorous campaign with a robust field game. Even during the primary, when we were pretty much being ignored, we knew that our key to victory was going to be voter contact, talking to everyday folks, working class people of Buffalo. So we've continued to do that. But we've also really stepped up our fundraising and our paid media game. My opponent is being well funded by members of the GOP and far right. So we're really just melding the strategy of organizers who are on doors and on phones and having relational organizing relationships with constituents and voters, but also marrying that with traditional path to victory, including paid media, sending mail pieces, and other things that get the general electorate more energized.
Yeah, I mean, Krystal updated me on your situation, India, and I was pretty fascinated by it. We have a New York Times story. We can put that up there on the screen. I mean, you won the Democratic primary, but the person that you beat isn't giving up. How did you win the Democratic primary? Why do you think that this person did not get the number of votes that you did, that you ultimately prevailed? And then what does it say about his decision not to continue in the race?
Yeah, I think that we won the primary because the voters of Buffalo are largely disappointed with the leadership that's been displayed. This is a person, my opponent has been in office for 16 years, and I think that there have been some positive changes to Buffalo, but by and large, there are a lot of working class people, people of color, people who live in poor and marginalized communities who have not seen the material conditions of their lives change, who want something different. And I think our deep relational organizing strategy, along with his failure to engage the electorate, period, over the course of the last 10, 12 years, feeling entitled to the office of mayor as if he doesn't have to answer to the people who elected him, was really a perfect storm to propel us to victory. And I'm proud of the work that we've done. I'm proud that we've been able to shine a national spotlight on Buffalo in a positive way that centers people, that focuses care, compassion, and our solidarity economy and our mutual aid networks that have cropped up. And I'm looking forward to bringing home the victory in November.
India, who has been backing your opponent? What has the Democratic Party done? Because the reporting has been there's been a bit of a divide. Just break down, have they gotten in fully behind you? Are they fundraising for you? Are they organizing for you? What has been the response?
Well, I wasn't the Democratic Party nominee for the primary. My opponent was. But after I won the primary, a lot of Democrats kind of fell in line, right? The vote blue, no matter who folks came along. I do have the support of the Erie County Democratic Committee, of our chairman locally. However, we've not seen the flood of support that we've expected from local and statewide Democrats. And that's okay, right? I think that this campaign and I, as a candidate, I'm largely unknown, so I understand the reluctance that some people might have. Also in Buffalo, we have a culture of retribution and, quid pro quo that precludes a lot of people from being able to be vocal supporters before they know what the entire lay of the land is. So I get it, but that's not going to deter us. We have established our own apparatus outside of the established party that we are very proud of, but I'm even more proud to be the bridge that brings sort of the outside contingency of more activisty groups right along with the more corporate Democrats locally to make sure that we're on the same page. And that means that we're prioritizing working class, poor people, brown people, women, children, the elderly, and the most vulnerable in our society, who really is traditionally in the left. Since I've been a Democrat, which is all my life, the people we purport to support. And I think that this campaign is going to send a very loud message that this is where we are and where we're going.
Let me ask you about one specific example that I found kind of perplexing, and maybe you can help explain why this is going on. So Kathy Hochul is now governor of New York. She has made prioritizing women and elevating women. It's something she talks about a lot. And my understanding is you'd be the first woman mayor of Buffalo and certainly the first Black woman mayor of Buffalo. And yet Kathy Hochul has not supported you. Have you had conversations with her? What is it why are they afraid to wade in support of you are the Democratic nominee for the seat now? What is the reluctance? Where does that come from?
I think that both in Western New York and in New York State, our established Democrats have a tendency to do what's politically expedient. I've had interactions with Governor Hochul. I've not had any sit-down conversations about what I believe in, what my agenda is, or how we can work together. However, I think that some decisions that she's made recently speaks to things that I want to champion on a municipal level, and no matter what, we'll be able to work together. But again, I think that, the governor's placed in a very precarious position where we have very well-established Democrats who are entrenched in a system that doesn't allow space for people like me traditionally. So I understand the reluctance of a lot of very established Democrats for getting involved in the race. And I'm willing to be patient, and I'm going to work with people whenever they decide to come along and not put the pressure on whether they support me or not, because I know that my base of support is coming from voters, it's coming from people, it's coming from workers, it's coming from mothers and fathers and sons and daughters of my community. And that's where I count on my support coming from. And people who are in position can come along whenever they want to, but I'm not dependent on that to get us across the finish line. I'm really dependent upon and accountable to the people. And I think that it's important for me to allow my supporters to know that this is not politics as usual. And it doesn't matter to me whether I have the support of the governor or the state party chair or any of the other big names in New York Democratic politics, but that I have the support of the people whom I am going to serve as mayor of Buffalo.
One of the reasons I want to talk to you, India, is I saw a recent interview you gave where you said, quote, "A lot of people of progressivism is that a problem with progressivism is we are not very inclusive if folks are not woke enough." It struck me, given the fact that you're running not only in a town with a lot of working class people of color, but a lot of working class white people as well, where some places that the Democratic Socialist movement has failed pretty miserably, I would say, in the last couple of years. How are you trying to overcome that? What's your personal philosophy?
I thank you for that question. And I describe myself as a bridge, right? I've lived in so many different stages of life, from being a poor child to a high school dropout, to then being a working class registered nurse, to then becoming a nonprofit executive and living more in the professional realm. I understand all of the parts of that sort of the professional trajectory. And I think that I'm able to relate to so many different people across class, race, gender, socioeconomic status, and educational attainment, that it makes me an attractive person, not to only be able to lead this movement forward, but to act as that bridge that is able to bring opposing sides of opinion together. And what I tell a lot of my supporters is we can't be so pure that we other folks who are not quite as woke or as progressive as we are. We have to create a big tent We have to allow people the space and room and the love and care to grow and have a better understanding of what it is that we want. And at the end of the day, what brings us all together is that we want the same things. We want a quality education for our children. We want safe, affordable housing for everyone. We want health access to health care for everyone. And that is bigger than any of the small things that we can point to that makes us not work together. So I'm proud to not only be involved in this local and now national movement, but also like be at the center of it and be a person that holds the line and says like, hey, like we're not going to cancel and dismiss people because they don't believe the exact same things that we do. We're going to call them in and not call them out and figure out how we work together.
Yeah. Why do you think that we've seen an erosion of working class support, certainly white working class support? Also, you had a significant little bit of African American, but more among Latinos support moving to the right and away from the Democratic Party. Now you have a Democratic Party leaning very heavily on effectively white, college-educated suburban voters when this is supposed to be the party of the people, supposed to be the party that is really fighting for and focused on the multiracial working class. Why do you think that that is? Where do you think that they went wrong?
I think that we've been sold a myth of rugged individualism and bootstrappiness, right? We've been told that if you go to college, if you do all of the right things, you know, pull up your pants and follow the law, that you'll be okay. And now we are starting to come to the awakening as a community, as a nation, that that is not true, that there are systems that have been put in place to keep a certain demographic of folks impoverished. And that doesn't only mean Black and brown people, like it's across class lines, right? We've seen monumental strikes happening across the country. Right now in Buffalo and Western New York, we're having one of the largest healthcare strikes, you know, in history. We're seeing Kellogg on strike. We're seeing the organization of Starbucks baristas to try and join a union. So I think that we're really amplifying this message of a class struggle that transcends race, color, gender, creed, right? And we're saying like the workers are actually the ones who have the power and should be exercising that to get the things that we so desperately want and need from our local, state, and federal government.
Yeah. Well, it's been great talking to you, India. We really appreciate you stopping by, following your story with a lot of interest here on the show, and we appreciate it. So thank you.
Thank you, India. We appreciate the time.
Thank you so much.
Our
Absolutely.
pleasure.
Thanks, everybody, for watching. We really appreciate it. It's been a banner week here. You know, we continue to deal with the demonetization, and we just want to make it clear, it's not that we care. We want to tell you so that you understand exactly where our incentives are. It will always be on exactly what and how we want to cover something. That's why premium subscribers matter. It's the only way that we pay our bills and we keep our lights on here at the show.
You guys are amazing. We love you. Remember, we have new partnership with the Daily Poster. We're going to have a brand new segment for you tomorrow from them. Of course, Sirota and his team there always doing incredible reporting, following the money, exposing stories that nobody else is looking at. He's got a great one we want to talk to him about. The Sackler family, of course, they're sort of like the primary villains behind the opioid crisis. Ways that Congress is working to try to let them off the hook. So he's going to talk about that. Tune in for that. We'll have additional content for you over the weekend. Enjoy, and we will see you back here next week. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching.
That's right. Just as a reminder, you can become a premium subscriber today. Watch the full show completely uncut, our reactions to each other's monologues. You get to listen to it, you get to ask us questions, all that good stuff. Link is right there in the description or at breakingpoints.com.
Best of all, great way to say screw you to the mainstream media.